If it's clocked out, there's batteries in the drawer. You understand? So I did that, man, up until the pandemic in 2019. When the pandemic hit, everybody had to leave, if you had relatives in there, you couldn't even go visit them in their bed. You understand? So that stopped. So then I started in the streets. I started cooking for the homeless on the streets. I went to this homeless camp, and I just stopped by there one day, and I come to find out there was like 15 people living there. One lady that I spoke to, the very spot that I spoke to her on, she had been living on that very spot for 14 years. You understand? Right there for 14 years, she had been living there. You know, so I started cooking meals for them 3 days a week. They got a hot meal Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I was doing that from my home on North Hickory Street. And I started that ministry by just, like the Lord said, loaves and fishes. You know, it came all out of my pocket. Everything that I did came out of my pocket. I had no donations at that time. But God provided. And one day I called Publix, and the next thing I know, I was getting donations from Publix 3 days a week. Which we still get to this day. We get donations in 7 days a week. It got to be so big at my house that my front porch was covered with banana boxes. One of my bedrooms was a bakery. I had 2 refrigerators and a freezer in my house. You know, that 30 cubic freezer, and it's packed with food. All of the refrigerators and everything are packed with food. There was dry goods, there was water, everything you could think of was on my front porch all the time, 24 hours a day. And so I was giving food boxes away to people. They just come over there, sign a little form, and it wasn't no intrusive form or nothing, it was just a form to keep a record. You understand? So they would come and get these food boxes, and then all of a sudden, like I said, it got too big. You know, it was like my house was not my house no more. It was a market. You know, it was a straight up market. So it's like, okay, y'all, Lord, I started praying. I said, Lord, I need space. I need volunteers. I need staff. Next thing I know, boom, here I am at home. You know, and that happened right on time because I had surgery on November the 3rd, and that was from an accident that I had in 2004 with the post office in California. You know, I was delivering mail, finished on the route, going back to the office on a really, really steep hill, and the engine cut off on my postal bill. So I'm just, you know, it cut off. When it cut off, it's power steering, power brakes. The brake did that, the steering wheel did lock, you know, and I'm just riding this vehicle down this hill, and it was really, really steep hill, like coming down a mountain. So just about the time it got to the bottom of the curve, it jumped the curve and hit a concrete light pole at 70 miles an hour. So it crushed my left knee, broke all the bones in my left leg, compound fracture the left leg, fractured my right foot and toes, broke my right hip, fractured my pelvis. When my hip broke, a bone spur went in my sciatic nerve. So I suffer from nerve palsy every day of my life since 2004. Yes. But God provided a way for me to have that surgery. He provided a way for me to get with hope so the ministry wouldn't stop. I wouldn't stop. It wouldn't be no interruption in the ministry of giving out the boxes and picking up the donations. Because from November the 3rd until January 3rd, that's when I started driving again, it was January 3rd. But I just finished my therapy on, I think it was 2 weeks ago in February. You understand? But without coming here to hope, the ministry would have been shut down because I would have had nobody to pick up the donations. I would have had nobody to deliver the food or come and, you know, make the boxes or anything. But through hope, that is all changed. So you guys, if y'all, you know, you guys are a school, right? Okay, so you guys know what's going on in the world. You know how life is. You know how rough it is. I'm sure some of you have been around a lot of people, the homeless and other people. You have family members that are ill, that are sick and need help. And everybody needs help. So, you know, if you guys just go out there and see something, just do something. You know, just do something. You know, and you'll be amazed at what God will do for you. You know, because it's like I said, I'm 75 and alive. You know, and I shouldn't be here, but I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm still serving God, And he keeps giving me the strength that I need to get up every morning and continue to do this.
Hallelujah.
I'm just grateful and I'm just thankful. That's all I can tell you guys.
Mr. Smith, how'd you become a Christian? When did the gospel become real to you?
The gospel came real to me, I guess it was around 1994 in Oakland, California, when I was living in the Bay Area. I went to this church, and the next thing I know, I was on the floor. When I got up off the floor, I was filled with the Holy Spirit, and they were a witnessing church. They went on the streets of Oakland and around that area every first and third Saturday of the month, witnessing to people, doing what the Bible told us to do, what Jesus told us to do in Matthew when he said, go into the world and share the gospel and make disciples. That's when I started with that. And that was like I said, that was probably around 1994 when I started that. And I've been doing that ever since. I remember when they had this little statement that it said, we would knock on somebody's door and say, good morning or good afternoon, who is it? It's your neighbor, okay? And then this statement said, well, do you know that Jesus Christ loves you and wants to be your Lord and Savior? And the Bible says in Romans 8, 9, and 10 that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus died and was raised from the grave, that you will be saved. And it's like, okay, now that was a mouthful. So it was like I had this paper and I'm sitting there, I'm reading it, and I'm trying to memorize it. I'm reading it, I'm trying to memorize it. And then I said, Lord, I said, you know what? I said, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. I say, you teach me this. You understand? 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and it was spewing out of me, just like you heard me just say it here before you guys. I couldn't even go back to bed. You understand? I got up, and when daylight hit, I was on the streets of Oakland, and I was out there, and I was sharing the gospel with everybody. I was winning souls for the kingdom of God that morning, and I haven't stopped since then. You know, I mean, I've fallen to the left and to the right a number of times, but you know, when you let go and you let God, God always brings you back in. He don't care about what we did in the past, or he continues to bless us and continues to just be there and protect us, you know. So, you know.
I got another question, and for y'all too. It's been another one of those, just like with Mike Jones. It's been a huge blessing for me to get to meet the evangelist Ricky Smith. Like I said last night, there are a whole host of things that have been happening in my life that are making the gospel become more and more real. And to have the opportunity to be friends with a man who's 75 years old, who is spurring me on. I'm 37, and he's like, no, man, you need to get out. What are we doing? We need to get out there and do something, you know? I mean, it's just been such a powerful experience for me. And so, you know, and Ricky's been doing this kind of stuff for a long time. So think about questions for him. I got another one for you. For those of us that haven't, when we see homelessness, we see it from a distance. Oh, there happens to be people in tents over here, or someone asked me for money on the street, or whatever. For those of us that aren't closely connected to it, what are the misperceptions about what's going on with homelessness and?
You know, there's a lot of people that are out there homeless that choose to be out there. You know, it's just that simple. They choose to be out there. But then there are others out there that lost their homes, they lost their jobs, they lost their income, they lost everything. And that's the reason why they're out there. Yes. But there are people out there in homeless camps right now that have bank accounts, they have retirement, but they tell me they choose to live out there because they don't want to live in a house, they don't want the responsibility of bills, they don't want none of that responsibility, they just want to live outside. But then there are those people that you see out there every day. You see somebody sitting on the corner. They could be either a drug habit or alcoholism, or like I said, they just lost everything, you know, and they have nowhere to turn. You understand? I mean, there are programs out here that help people, but it's really not enough programs because too many people that's sleeping outside at night during the winter. you know, and they have no place to go, you know. But we got thousands of buildings all around our cities that are empty that could be turned into havens for the homeless. You understand? They got armories that are closed and ain't nothing in them. You know, they're just buildings sitting there, they just deteriorate. You know, things like that could be turned into a haven for the homeless. You know, I continue to pray about land and buildings because eventually I want God's Abundant Grace business ministry to stand on its own. I wanted to have a big youth facility in Chattanooga. I want some land where I can teach people how to grow food and they can garden, and we can have a program like you said with dental and eye care and therapists and whatever people need to try to help them to get from where they are to a better place. It's just, you know, it can be done. You know, it's a shame that, you know, we're probably the richest country in the world, but we got all of these people that are homeless. You know, and I mean, it's homeless all around the world. But I feel like there shouldn't be nobody in America homeless at all. Not when I see all these houses that are boarded up that nobody is in, all these buildings that are empty that nobody's in, they just sitting there, you know. So, I mean, we could do better than we're doing. You know, we could do better than they're doing. A lot of these states and everybody, they get a lot of money, but guess what? They don't get where it's supposed to go.
That's right. It's a heart thing.
Yeah, they don't get where it's supposed to go. You know, it's like I was thinking. I read this report. The city of Chattanooga they got $13 million just for utilities and rents and stuff like that to help people with a year ago. They still got $10 million, you know. And I know that there are more people out there that need more help right now. You understand? I mean, even Hope. They could give money to Hope. You understand? Because Hope is a nonprofit and they're doing it here, but they only have X amount of dollars to do it with. But these people got $19 million, $20 million. You know, and they're just sitting there holding it. You know, it don't make sense. You know, it just don't make sense. But that's the way of the world, guys. You know, it's the way of the world today. It's a good place and it's a bad place.
Anybody have any questions for him?
You said you were homeless?
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing that got you out?
Actually, I remember I had a cold, and somebody told me, I was in San Francisco, you know, and I remember nights there, if I could get a room, I could get a $2.50 a night room. It didn't have no lock on the door, you know, there was more roaches and bed bugs in there than anything, you know what I'm saying? But I had this cold, and somebody told me, they said, if you go to the UC Medical Center, you can get free medical services. So I went there. And the doctor, he told me, he said, I'm going to treat you for this cold, but afterwards I want you to talk to this lady. I said, okay. And it was a mental social worker. You know, she was a psychiatrist. So she, after he treated my cold, I went to talk to her. Her name was Frances, the same name as my mother. And I'll always remember that to this day. And she just asked me, said, well, what would you like to do? I said, well, I would like to go to beauty school and become a hairstylist. And so it was like, okay. So that day when I left the UC Medical Center, I had a room at the YMCA overlooking the entire Bay Area. I had bus tokens, I had food tokens, and they helped me to get into Marinella's Beauty College, which was right there on Powell Street where the cable cars come up and down the road there. Any of you guys have ever been to San Francisco or ever seen San Francisco? But I went to beauty school, and after I got out of beauty school, everything went up. You know, everything went up. I had one salon. I was working in Oakland for this company called Soul Scissors. It was a black hair care company that had just came about, and they had created the relaxer blow dryer hairstyle and using the curling irons to do hairstyling. You know, so I went to work for them, and I just excelled at what I did. You know, I did. I excelled. And they decided from Oakland, they decided to put me in their flagship store, which was in San Francisco. It's a store called the Emporium Department Store. So I went to work in the Emporium Department Store in that salon. I became the West Coast Regional Trainer for Soul Scissors creative I was when it came to cutting hair and styling hair. You understand? Then I went on AM San Francisco, and that was crazy. You know, because I was on AM San Francisco that morning, cutting and styling hair, and everybody was watching it in the Bay Area. So now I get back to the employer, and every telephone in there is ringing off the hook. Everybody's trying to make an appointment with Mr. Ricardo, you know. And so that, you know, that's how I got from being homeless to there and to where I am today. You know, but it's been a journey, you know, and I can go even further. I can go back way to 1946. Y'all don't want to hear that story. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. But yeah, that's, you know, and like it was, I wound up not only, after, I just kind of got fed up with them just paying me a salary and I wasn't getting the kind of money I should be making. So I decided I was going to go open my own salons. And people used to always come in the salon and say, do you do walk-ins? And so I said, yeah, we do walk-ins. So that was the name of my hair salon, believe it or not. Yes, we do walk-ins. So I had one, then I had another one. When I left the Bay Area, I had at least 7 salons. I had one in Santa Rosa, 2 in San Francisco, 2 in Oakland, 1 in Santa Ana, California, and 1 in Hayward, California, all at the same time. And I trained every stylist, I trained the managers, first of all, that ran those salons. And those managers and myself, we trained every stylist that came to work in those salons. And they had to do the things the way we did them, the way I learned, the way they taught me, I taught them. You know, and that's how, you know, all those salons became what they were, you know. Yes, we do walk-ins. But then I left the Bay Area and I went to Southern California. And that's where I went to work for the post office down there. You know, and that's where that accident happened. Well, here I am. I'm still here.
What else? Any more questions for Mr. Smith?
What would you say, like, for us, the best thing that we can do to, like, help these people?
Love them. Just love them.
People on the street will ask me for money, but normally I don't give them money. You know? But I'll go down the street and I'll buy them a meal and I'll bring it back to them. Or I'll see that they might be a hat, or they got tennis shoes or shoes that I can give them. I'll give them some socks, shoes. I'll give them a whole one. You know, I give them clothes, I give them food. Toiletries, soap, you know, toothpaste, all of those kind of little things. You know, those little things are some of the things that they really, really want and need in this streets. Yeah. That's one of the best ways to do it. Usually, they give them money, they go in there, see them go in the store, they don't get a deal, you know, they head out to the club, that's part of the problem out there too, the drugs and the alcohol. And that's the one way that they try to escape it. But when they come back to reality, they say, well, so then they're begging for more money, don't get no alcohol, no this and that. I always tell them, if you're hungry, I'll buy you some food. You know, and they'll tell me something, no, I'm not hungry. I say, okay, I don't have to be hungry. You know, but 99% of the time, I will do clothes, buy something. If I'm up there and I see somebody who asks me, can you tell me you're hungry? I'll go, whatever. If I see a store there, they got sandwiches and Subways and Burger King, whatever it is, I'm going in and buy some food and bring it back to you. But when I was doing the cooking, we used to cook on an average. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I had this calendar that I marked from January every day. On Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the amount of meals that we cooked. And it was usually between 90 and 100 meals a day that went out of my house. And every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so people would come by, we would load them all up in our cars. Then we would go to Oakland Road, we made a complete circle around the city on those days, like the Wisdom Friday. And we were from, I think it was January of 2020 until August 2020. We cooked like 6,067 meals that we put out on the streets of Chattanooga. Just feeding the homeless. Get that in my house. You know, it's like my dining room table only holds 35 to go boxes. So fill up 35 and then we stay with the table. You know, my little kitchen was always a mess. I said, we go out, then I gotta come back to clean up. You know, it's like, okay, I'm tired. But I never would go to bed with my house really because I had all that food in there and I didn't want no bugs or any other critters running around in my house. That's it, guys. You know, you see on that's the best way to help them. You can talk to them and ask them. You can make an observation and you can see instantly. You know, shoes are overrun, jeans or something on is too small for them, or they got no clothes, or red shirt, you got all those. Hey, just give them to them. You know, they'd be so happy to get this. I had clothes closets in my house. And I was giving them clothes too. I was feeding them, clothing them, sharing the gospel with them, you know, doing everything I can to help, just like the Bible said to do. You know? Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions? Ricky Smith, everybody.
Thank you guys for coming too.
So, yeah, we're just, again, I think post-pandemic, Mr. Watkins coming in as executive director, a lot of cool things have just been bubbling up to the surface. And Ricky, his ministry, partnering with us has just been really powerful. Jason has known Ricky for a while, and when Ricky came, Jason came. And Jason's story is really, really powerful as well, so I want to give you guys a chance to hear that. And if you wouldn't mind, at the close of that story, just sharing a little bit more about the logistics of how food assistance looks at home for the inner city right now, and Tuesday through Friday, all that stuff too. Cool. So, Jason, everybody.
Get a little closer. Get a little closer and a little louder.
All right, so I'm gonna start back though. Where I started in New York. So my parents got together. We were both caught up in addiction, and they got married and they had me. The addiction didn't stop. It just kept going. When I was 3, my parents split up. My mom took me away from my dad. I started getting molested. And that's where it was. My mom was so caught up, she just didn't see it. And, my sister was getting molested too. As a matter of fact, my sister was the first person to molest me. She didn't know what she was doing. She was just mirroring what had been done to her. When I was 4, I broke my leg. My mom finally decided she was going to let me see my dad. It had been a year. I had a broken leg, had a cast up to here, couldn't walk. She's put me out of the car and said, crawl back to your dad's. So I had to crawl all the way back through the alleyway to where his apartment was. He wasn't happy. So a little further on, you know, we live in the projects now. And my mom was just going through guy after guy after guy, trying to find a hole to fill that she couldn't fill with drugs. She thought, well, maybe a man can do it too. So the addiction just kept going, and the men just kept going in and out of the house, in and out of the house. And me and my sister got tired of it. I was 5, my sister was 9. And we told my mom we didn't want to move. And so she left us in the projects by herself for 6 months. And she would stop by every once in a while and drop off some food, but we were always starving. And we ate at school. We would eat breakfast and we would eat lunch at school, but most of the time we didn't have dinner. And on the weekends, we didn't have any food either. But we didn't say anything because we loved our mom. And we didn't want her to go to jail. And we didn't want people to take us away. So we were just silent. No one knew. And that kept going on and on. And so we moved out to this place called Nassau. My mom was with this guy named Gene, and he was beating me. And I told her, you know, I wasn't going to let him beat me no more because he wasn't my daddy. You know, not even my daddy beat me. And she said, well, you're being a brat, so pack your suitcase. So on Thanksgiving Day, I packed my suitcase, and my mom dropped me off on my dad's doorstep. She didn't call him. She didn't tell him anything. And I pulled up, and I knocked on the door, and he was like, hey, buddy, what are you doing here? He said, I said, Mom said that I was coming to live with you. He said, oh, okay. She didn't, like I said, she didn't call him, she didn't tell him anything. And he just came in. 6 months later, he quit drinking. And, you know, he raised me and took care of me, but he was always working, so I was always by myself. I got into a lot of trouble, and I felt like I never had attention. I never really had leaders in my life. It kept me going. I didn't have people like this in my life to show me what was right and what was wrong. So I just grew up. I became an adult. From the time I was 5 until, well, I thought I was an adult. I got getting caught up in addiction and alcoholism. And March 20th, I had kids. I had one daughter, and I've not been able to spend time with her in 15 years because her mother just kept her from me. And I had 2 other daughters. I ended up getting married, and when I got married, my first daughter's mother told me I couldn't see her no more, and all this other stuff. I tried to go through the court systems, but because of records and other things, they told me I would, even if I paid all of this money and did the lawyers, that I still wouldn't be able to see my daughter. So I went to her mother and I said, well, can I give you money? You know, because I knew how I grew up. I never wanted my kids to be separate from me. I never wanted them to want for anything, or struggle like I did. And she told me that she didn't want my money, and she didn't want me to have anything to do with my daughter. And like I said, I went to the courts, and they said, you can pay all this money, and you can do all these things, but you could never see your daughter still. And so I had lost a lot of hope. And I had my other 2 daughters. Well, I didn't love them like I should have because I was so scared that they were going to get took away. And so then I just started drinking and doing meth and all these other things that I know I shouldn't have done. And one day my wife, I asked her, I said, well, why do you stay with me? Why do you deal with me? I'm such a terrible person. She said, I'm not with the boy that I see today, but the man I see in the future. Was the first person that never gave up on me. And I began to love my daughters more. I quit drinking. My 8-year-old came up to me one day. She tugged on my shoulder and she said, Daddy, your drinking is poisoning you. And I haven't drank a drop since.
Praise God.
And so I began to change. I became a better husband, you know. I became a better father. I began to love my daughters like they deserved, you know. And in 2016, March 27th, 2016, I truly found God. Both of my daughters got saved the same day, and my life has just not been the same. You know, it's just, I go through ebb and flow, but there's someone there to pick me up when I fall down. Whereas before, I was trying to get myself back up, carrying the weight of the world, carrying a weight that I was never meant to carry. I was never meant to carry that. You guys were never meant to carry that weight. You're supposed to leave it at his feet while seeking for his face. And so, moving on a little bit, I was scrolling through Facebook. I had just helped plant a church in East Ridge. It's called Fearless Church. That's where I'm at. And I was up on the ladder, and I was changing out ceiling tiles, and the ladder came out, and I fell off the ladder. And when I fell back. And my wrist was like this. And so I was at work. Couldn't work, couldn't do nothing. I was sitting at home, and I saw Ricky. That's what I call him Uncle Ricky, because I don't know, since the first day I met him, that's who I was introduced. Hey Jason, this is Uncle Ricky. So I just been calling him Uncle Ricky for 9 years. Not my uncle, but he is my uncle. And so I was scrolling through, and I seen this thing where he was talking about he needed some hands. He was talking, well, I've got this and this going on, and so I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, I'm not working right now. If there's anything that I can do for you, let me know. And I'm willing to come help. I only got one good arm, but I'll do what I can. So he called me, we had a conversation, and then he brought me in here, and for 2 weeks he showed me what he did, and then he had that hip surgery. Well, I didn't even know that I was going to be helping him with the hip surgery part. I was just coming in to help him out, and it led up to me helping him. So I was here for a month by myself doing it, not by myself, but I was in charge of doing it. And he brought me in, and it was just amazing seeing it. Like, I've always had a big heart for people because of what I grew up in, what I went through, and so he was like, hey, will you stay and help me through this? And of course, me loving people and loving him, I was like, absolutely. I'm not going to be doing anything, so I could sit at home and do nothing, or I could come here and give back. And I was about to leave. He was coming back, and it was Tim. I walked into the kitchen and I seen him, and I was like, hey, buddy. I was like, I love, being here, volunteering with you guys and everything. I said, but I won't be back next week because I need to find a job. I have to make money in order to support my family. And Tim was like, we don't need you to leave.
Definitely
like,
not.
you just bring something. He was like, we need you here. He said, have you talked to Anthony? I said, no. Well, God made a way. I had been praying. I had just finished school for welding, so I could have went and got a welding job and everything. But I had prayed, God, open the right door. I'm tired of walking in the wrong one, because I chose. Lord, I need you to open the door. Well, I felt like this was the open door. I get to work in my gifting every day. Not that I couldn't have done it in a welding situation, but this is more a broader thing, So they brought me in. We had talked some logistics and some prices, and finally we agreed on a price, and I got hired on here. And so it's just been an adventure. Every day gets better, here's something I didn't mention a while ago. So when I had got God, at first I had a have-to attitude. I have to get up. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do this. And that kind of attitude will get you nowhere in life. Now I wake up every morning and I get to go to work. And I get to help people. And I get to do these things. When you have a get-to attitude, you get to do more things. And God will open more doors for you because he sees that you're thankful for everything that you have. And so other than that, what we do back here, we give out boxes Monday through Friday from 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock. Or if for some reason we run out of food, which doesn't happen anymore, it'll be from 11 o'clock until we can't give any more away. So each day we set up boxes, we put food in them, and people come in, they fill out a piece of paper, and they bring it back, and then we fix the box and we bring it out to the car. And we always ask them, especially if they haven't wrote it down. There's a little space at the bottom of the paper where it says prayer request. Well, if it doesn't have one, I make sure I ask. I see you didn't write anything today. Is there anything that we can pray for? Because No prayer is small to God. It doesn't matter what you're going through or you're going through or you're going through. It's still big in God's eyes. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to ask him. Don't be afraid to ask somebody you know that loves God to pray for you for it. You know, you have to be willing to step out in order to move up. You know, so don't ever, if you guys need prayer in here, even if it's you want to take one of us to the side, you're scared to say something to somebody else, or you know, take two of us. We'll pray for you. It's not that it's big, but it's not. I don't know. I'm trying to say this the right way. Don't think it's small because you matter. You know, and if someone loves God, and they truly love God, then everyone matters. Everyone you walk by. People always tell me, dude, why do you smile all the time? I'm like, well, here's the thing. I could not smile and walk past someone who's dealing with depression, and they go, oh, that's another person that doesn't care. Or I could walk by and I could smile at that person and be like, you just gave me another day. You know, just a little bit more. I wish I had more people in my life that had a smile for me. If it wasn't for my children, I'd have killed myself. And I tried 4 or 5 times. So, you know, smile at people, love them. You ask what homeless people need the most? They need you to love them. More than your food, more than your money. They need your prayers, and they need you to love them. They need you to love them like you love your mom and your dad. You know, like you love your best friend. You know, God says to love everyone. Love your neighbor. You don't get to pick and choose who that neighbor is.
Mm.
You know? And once you begin to love like that, the world is open to you. Like it's crazy how open it gets. Yeah, it's just amazing what God does. You know? If you'll let it. You know, some of us are stubborn and we want to, no, God, I can do this on my own. No, you can't. When you take control, you lose control. When he takes control, you go everywhere. He opens doors for you that you never thought possible. Literally, when he said more than you could think or imagine, he really means it. You know, I never thought I would be here. But here I am today, talking in front of y'all. If you guys need to know a little bit something else about me, I'm also bipolar. And I deal with anxiety and depression. But through God, I no longer have to, and I'm not saying that medication isn't good, but because of what God's done on me, I no longer have to do that. And he's given me avenues that help me with that every day. You know, so I started off with medicine to get myself chemically correct. Now I eat like watermelon and strawberry and blueberries. Those are natural antidepressants. And it doesn't look like it, but now I exercise a little bit more. And I try to be more active in what I'm doing and be more intentional. You know, this year, me and him, we have actually it's not year. By June, I'm supposed to be down to 230. Hopefully I get there. But, you know, you have to have people. Community is so important, you know. Way more important than people emphasize. Having a core group of people, and then people outside of that, and people outside of that. You know, you have your core people; those are your knit. But you still need a community outside of that to pray for you, that loves on you, that shows you things. You know, Tim shows me things every day I see him. You know, like he shows me more and more how to be confident in myself. You know, Uncle Ricky shows me more and more that you got to put the work in to get it done. Anthony shows me more and more every day that being a good leader is very important, because we need to be leaders teaching leaders, not leaders teaching followers. You know, the only thing we're supposed to follow is God. You know, we're supposed to lead the way in everything else, everything that we do. You know, so it's really important that you stay positive, and if you're not feeling that way, you have people pray over you. That's all I really have to say. Sorry for the crying. It comes with the territory. You know, there's more in my story too. I didn't go into, but I think you guys for listening. person, and that hope brings back to one person. You know what I mean? Then it's a whole community that's beginning to have hope. And, you know, it'll spread like fire. You know, and it's very important. You know. So, to me, hope stands for helping other people every day. Not just on days you choose, you know, but every day. Thank you again.
It's awesome. Hey, can you pray for us real quick? I feel like